Hi, my name is Jenn and I'm the Director of Mission Impact here at YWCA in McLean County, and today I'm going to talk to you about the violence that immigrant women face. So even though violence against women is a problem for every woman, there are certain groups of women that are even more vulnerable to violence. One of these groups is immigrant women. Immigrant women make up more than half of the 42 million immigrants in the United States. This is a population that is more vulnerable to abuse, more vulnerable to exploitation, both in their homes, in their daily lives, and at detention facilities. Immigrant women also encounter unique obstacles to seeking help and safety than their U.S. citizen counterparts because of language barriers, their immigration status, and a general lack of resources. The U.S. immigration detention system is run by an agency called ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement. They are responsible for incarcerating immigrants while they wait on a decision to be made about their immigration status or potential deportation. This massive detention system holds as many as 400,000 immigrants, both documented and undocumented, every year. Immigrants in detention centers across the U.S. are subjected to harsh and inhumane living conditions, which include a lack of access to medical care, lack of access to legal services, and lack of access to adequate nutrition. More than 155 people have died in immigration custody since 2003, and over 200 have reported being sexually assaulted in detention centers since 2007. The people detained in these facilities often fear being deported in retaliation for reporting mistreatment. The cruelty of our immigration detention system is an issue that disproportionately affects immigrant women. In recent years, we have expanded the use of something called family detention, which means immigrant mothers are jailed with their children, oftentimes for several years. What? Why are we jailing kids with their moms? Many of the families forced into family detention are coming to the United States fleeing abuse, sexual assault, domestic violence situations, and up to 88% of them are eligible for asylum. However, ICE doesn't recommend that these families be released on bond, and when immigration judges do grant a bond, ICE tries to get them repealed. Even women who are not in detention are still at a higher risk to face violence than their U.S. citizen counterparts. Studies show that immigrant and refugee women in the United States experience rates of domestic violence between 30 and 50%. Married immigrant women also experience physical and sexual abuse at rates higher than their unmarried counterparts. Why? Because oftentimes an immigrant woman's immigration status is tied up in her marital status or in the status of her relationship. So even if she's experiencing abuse at the hands of her partner, she may be reluctant to come forward because she fears that she'll be deported. So even when these women are in really, really bad situations, they're not able to come forward because they don't speak the language, they don't have access to transportation, they don't have access to resources, and they don't actually even know that they have the right to not be abused. Also, because of mandatory detention policies we have regarding immigrants, women might be too afraid to call the police because it will mean that they will be deported, or perhaps the father of their children will be deported, or their partner will be deported. And while they want the domestic abuse situation to stop, they may not want their life thrown into upheaval in that way. So what can we do about this? First, we need to reform our immigration system. Currently, we have a system that is inhumane, that is very, very old, that hasn't been looked at or reformed in a really, really long time. So the very first thing we need to do is we need to reevaluate as a society the way that we treat immigrants and refugees in this country. This also means that in looking at the system, we have to have a special sensitivity to mothers and women in the system. If you're trying to help a woman who is a victim of violence, but who is an immigrant woman, you have to be especially careful about how you proceed, always keeping in mind that immigration status may or may not play a role in reporting or in their willingness to come forward. Many of the social service agencies available in our community, like Stepping Stones here at YWCA, are not going to question people about their immigration status. So people don't have to fear coming forward if they've been victims of sexual abuse. While we should absolutely reform our immigration system in a broader sense, one thing that can be done in the meantime is to increase the number of U visas and other protections for immigrant women. U visas are a special kind of visa that are given to victims of crimes, victims of domestic violence, victims of sexual violence, that help them ensure that they won't be deported for reporting their abuser. One step you can take today is to write your senator or congressman to let them know that you oppose family detention and support protections for immigrant and refugee women. We should remember that while immigrant and refugee women are not yet U.S. citizens, they still have fundamental human rights, and it's a responsibility of all of us to make sure that those are protected and upheld. If you like this video, please don't forget to share so we can spread the message about Week Without Violence.